Hello and welcome to my very first Let's Play of Dark Souls. This is actually my first video that I've uploaded in years, really. Well, my friend was doing a Let's Play of Dark Souls, so I decided, you know what? I'll try out my own Let's Play. And so, this will be it. I tried to type in the Hamster of Muppets, but it didn't fit, so I just went with hamster. So, anyway, this is going to be a dexterity playthrough. But, originally, what I was going to do is, I was going to, Let's Play Dark Souls 2. But, unfortunately, whenever I tried to record it, OBS would always crash. I guess, the problem was, my computer isn't the strongest computer, it's only a laptop. And so, it's not like a 3.4 gigahertz processor. And so, every time I would try to record it, OBS would just crash. And so, Dark Souls 1, which is the second game because of Demon Souls, but whatever, is a lot easier for it to record, and so I was actually able to record Dark Souls. But Dark Souls 2 would always crash. What I was going to do, I was planning on doing a Soul Level 1 challenge, because I've just been recently playing through Dark Souls 2, and I've almost beaten it again. Well, and then I got to do the DLC, so really I do still have quite a while, but that's what I was originally going to do. But it didn't record, and so then I was like, okay, I guess I'll just try and do Dark Souls 1. However, and then I was like, well, what should I do? Should I do should I do like a challenge run, or should I just do a regular run? And I'm like, well, if I do a challenge run, I'll probably skip a bunch of stuff. You know, I won't do the DLC, I won't do, like, the bonus bosses. But then I was like, well, if I just do, like, a regular run, I can just try to show off as much stuff as possible. And then I can just, like, explain some of the stuff along the way. And so this is what I opted for. I decided to just do a regular dexterity playthrough and just show off as much of the game as possible. Right now, all I'm doing is I'm just running through the tutorial, the Undead Asylum. There's not too much to talk about here. All it is the tutorial. And so, I just want to get through it as fast as possible. And so, that's what we're doing. In the future, if I do get a more powerful computer, I might do a Dark Souls 2 Let's Play as well. And I might do some challenge runs after this one and see how it goes. I'm trying post commentary rather than live commentary. And so we'll see how that goes. I might mix it up. I might do post commentary for now, and then another episode I might try live commentary. The reason I decided to go for post commentary instead of live at the time is because a lot of the time what happens is if I try live commentary, I end up like trying to explain something, and then I end up dying, and then yeah, I just end up dying a lot more if I do that. And so I decided I'd do post commentary. I actually did a Let's Play a long time ago that no one's ever seen except for me, and I did post commentary on that one. That was back when I had a really shitty computer, and the reason I never uploaded it is because it lagged like crazy. That was a long time ago when Let's Plays were a lot harder because most people like didn't have good recording software. Now there's OBS, which is free and easy to use, you know, and plus like computers weren't as good, obviously, and so basically it lagged a lot. I thought it was hilarious though. I did the commentary, and then I would just sit there and listen to it. It was hilarious listening to me just ramble on about just the most random crap ever. Unfortunately, I lost the file. I don't know what actually happened to it. I've looked for it, but I was never able to find it. I'm not sure why I watched this cutscene. I think I skip like, well, I think I'll watch like most of the cutscenes, at least for like the bosses and stuff, but just because they're really short. So off to the side here is the crestfallen warrior. I don't actually talk to him. Uh, at first I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do, if I was just gonna run past the NPCs and stuff. What I decided after I actually finished doing this is I'll talk to them, but I won't like sit through their entire dialogue sequences. I'll just go through it, but I'll show them off and then just talk about what they talk about. And so I might talk to them later, but we actually talked, those two were the Undead Warrior, not the Undead Warrior, the Crestfallen Warrior. And he tells you basically what you're supposed to do, which is to ring 2 bells. And if you talk to him long enough, he'll actually tell you the correct way to go, which there's actually 3 ways that you can go, and a lot of people end up going the wrong way, just because obviously there's 3 ways, and 2 of them are basically impossible for new players. There's actually stuff you can do in those 2 areas. There's actually like a reason to go either of those other ways if you know what you're doing, but you'll basically just die and get wrecked if you're a new player. But this is the way that you're supposed to go. And if you talk to him long enough, he tells you, oh, go the way with the bridge, which there's a giant bridge right in front of us. The other guy is Petrus of Thorland. He offers the first covenant in the game, which is Way of the White, which is like the second worst covenant in the game, I think. Basically the second worst. I don't know, it's not very good. But he does let you learn a gesture, which is shrug. And I think I'll get that later. If you talk to him now, like, you basically have to join the covenant in order to get the gesture, but later on you can talk to him and just get it without having to actually join his covenant or anything. So I think I'll get that later. I might show where to get all the gestures. I know one of them you do have to join a specific covenant to get. And I'm trying to think if there's any others where you have to. It's not a big deal if I have to. Like, you can just abandon your covenants, and there's no real penalty for abandoning a covenant. So I think I'll show that off. Run up behind this guy and backstab him. This first area is really easy. Also, if it's not obvious, this is not a blind playthrough. Just in case that wasn't obvious. But anyway, there's a bunch of barrels blocking this, and if you roll through them or break them or whatever, you can go down here into this little extra area. There's nothing too useful down here. There's Soul of a Lost Undead, which the Souls of a Lost Undead aren't very useful. I would recommend using them early on. Usually what I like to do is I'll save them for the blacksmith, and I'll just use them to get a couple extra souls to level up my weapons. Because of like how many souls you need later on in the game, these souls are basically useless later, so I would always recommend using them early. So here we picked up some rubbish, and as far as I know, there's only one use for it, and there's only one use for one of them. And that is you can trade with, I believe her name is Snuggly the Crow, which is the trading system in the game. And so you can give her a piece of rubbish, and she'll give you a Titanite chunk, which is a really good deal, obviously. So if I remember to do that, I'll probably do that. A lot of the time I forget, though. I don't usually trade with her very often, even though she does have some pretty useful items that you can get. The only thing is, there's actually another piece of rubbish in the game. However, it wasn't added until the DLC, which is kind of strange because you can only trade with her one item like each time. Like, you can only give her one piece of rubbish. You can only give her one poison moss clump. And then like after that, she won't give you anything for that. And there's a glitch that's probably been patched because it's a really old glitch where you could infinitely trade with her. But I think they've probably patched that. And so I don't really know what the second piece is for. There, I just skipped those guys. Those guys are really annoying. They hold their shield up the whole time, and usually you want to kick them. However, the scimitar doesn't actually let you kick. Instead, you get this, like, backwards backflip thing, and it's not very useful. Usually you want the kick. That's the only thing I don't like about curved swords. I actually like curved swords because they're good dex weapons, but I don't like how you don't get a kick. Anyway, here's the Undead Merchant. He sells some stuff. Nothing that we actually want except for the key. And so I just went ahead and killed him rather than just paying 1,000 souls. And he also drops the Uchigatana, which is a pretty good weapon. A lot of people like it. I don't actually like it that much. I will be using it for a little bit in this playthrough, but I probably won't use it for the whole game. So I will use it for a little bit though. It's a pretty good weapon. It's a pretty good katana. I think most people say it's the best katana. I personally like the washing pole better, mainly because I think it looks cool and it has a lot of range too. It doesn't have as good dex scaling though. It's a quality weapon, which means it uses strength and dex instead of just, you know, there's strength weapons which use strength, there's dex weapons which use dex, and then there's quality which use both. Or more than one. I actually failed this jump my first time, so I just ran around and tried it again. As for some reason I wasn't holding the run button, so I just rolled off like an idiot. But over here you find the crossbow. It's not too useful. I don't know. Crossbows are okay. The problem is there's no way to aim with them. The only way you can actually aim is to lock on. So if you're shooting from afar, it's not very useful. So usually the bow and arrow is better. By the way, that Undead Merchant sells arrows, so if you want to use a bow and arrow, you might not want to kill him. There, you will be able to buy arrows shortly. I remember in the, I believe in the original version, the merchants that sold arrows were very limited. And apparently, I guess people didn't like that. They were like, oh, you can never get arrows. And so they changed it so that like pretty much every merchant actually sells arrows now. But I think the Undead Merchant was like one of the only ones that actually sold arrows before. Speaking of changes, this room used to be a lot harder. Mainly because what would happen is the aggro range was longer. So like enemies would aggro onto you from a longer distance. And so those guys that were shooting fire bombs at us would actually like come down there. And like if you were like playing slow, like I'm playing fast right now. Just because I know what I'm doing. But if you were like playing slow, you're going to end up with like 6 enemies in that one small room. 3 of which would be like throwing fire bombs at you. That room was hell before. Oh, I hated that room. It's a lot easier now though. But that also did change a couple of the other things in the game because they reduced the aggro distance, and so some of the enemies that used to come at you from a longer way now come at you for a shorter way. Anyway, this door, that key that we got off that Undead Merchant, actually opens this door. The Master Key also works, which we also have. But there's another door that key works on that the Master Key doesn't work on. Which, technically, when you think about it, that doesn't make any sense at all. Because, like, how can a key work on 2 keyholes? And then there's a Master Key that only works on 1. Like, technically they should be the same keyhole, but I don't know. I guess logic, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. The other key is used to free an NPC called Griggs of Venheim. We don't actually need him. I just want to show him off for the sake of the playthrough. Like I said, I can't kick these guys, so I just opt to parry him. Makes it a lot easier for me to kill them since they just hold their shield up the whole time. If you go down here, there's actually a Black Knight standing at the end of that corridor. He's pretty strong right now. I could probably kill him if I wanted to. Just because you can like strafe him and backstab him and eventually kill him. Even with backstabbing him at this point is still really hard. It takes a while. But he doesn't drop any... he does drop something really useful. He drops a Titanite chunk, which is really useful later. It's not actually useful now, so we'll kill him when we need to. If you break this box, there's a crystal lizard in it. This is one of the few like boxes in the game that you can actually break that actually has something in it. So you kill that and you get some upgrade material, which will be very, very useful later on in the game. Also, that Black Knight is guarding a ring. Unfortunately, that ring is like piss awful. It's like easily one of the worst rings in the game. It might actually be the worst ring. I guess technically there are worse rings, but I don't know. It's very, very bad. It's the blue Tearstone ring, which increases your defense when you're really low on HP. But anyway, here's the first boss after the tutorial boss. I'm going to use lightning pine resin just because he's weak to lightning. And so you can use this to just kill him very, very fast. If you want, you can go back to that ladder where we were just at and kill those archers. And you can lure him over to the thing and drop down on him and use that method to kill him. It's a little bit slower though, and I don't know. You don't really need it to do it, at least if you use the lightning pine resin, because that kills him pretty fast. So I just opt to do that because it's faster and better. Anyway, down here we will meet one of the best NPCs in the game, Solera of Astora. And someone put a message here, and so I'm having trouble talking to him. But anyway, if you talk to him long enough, he eventually gives you the white signed soapstone, which is a very useful item. What it does is it allows you to it places your summon sign so that other people can summon you into their world, and you can engage in jolly cooperation. So, in order to summon someone, you have to be human. However, you can place your summon sign regardless of whether or not you're human. This bridge is another thing that was changed. I'm not exactly sure why I waited. I guess I wanted to show you the way that you're supposed to do it now. Originally, the best way was to just run across this bridge before the dragon even appeared, and that was the only way you could get across it without taking damage. Because before, every single time you would go across the bridge, he would endlessly shoot fire at you, and it was very difficult to get across without getting hit. They changed it though, so now he only shoots fire at you once you're halfway across the bridge. He doesn't actually do it at the beginning part. So now you can actually do it without dying. And it's actually fair. So, that wasn't really something that they made easier, like, per se. They made it, like, more fair. So here I decided I might as well use the Uchigatana. It's a little bit heavier than the scimitar, so I have to take off a little bit of my armor. It's whatever. I think I thought about ending the video right there, which is why I just did an attack for no reason. But then I decided I'll go a little bit further. So, we're going a little bit further. Venturing out into here. This is the way that you're supposed to go. And so, basically, if you go this way, you'll kill this guy, and then that guy in front of me. And then there's 3 rats in there which poison you. And then it just takes a little bit longer. Eventually, there we go. I decided I'll go the way that I normally go. This way is better, but it's a little tricky to get by. So basically what you want to do is you want to get the dragon to kill everything. And I'm not actually sure how he hit me. He usually doesn't hit you if you're all the way on the side. Like right here, he doesn't hit me. So I'm not exactly sure how he hit me when I was over there. But what you want to do is you want to just wait here, and like he'll make some growling noises, and eventually he'll jump up in the air. And the moment you see him leap in the air, you want to just run for it. So as soon as he jumps in the air, this is basically how you can kill him. He's obviously really strong for us right now, but you can just run across. And so you can actually get past this. And so you get another bonfire and you skip a little bit. And so it's also faster, which is the reason I like it. He also leaves. He'll come back if you run back across the bridge and go all the way back to the beginning part. But for now, he's gone. So now we can safely walk out here and grab these items, which is a large soul of a lost undead and the claymore. The claymore is a really good greatsword. It's comparable to the Bastard Sword, and the Claymore is a slightly better. It's slightly weaker, but it has a better moveset, and so I like it better. And I believe most people like it better. I forgot to actually show this off up here. This is where you get Warrior of the Sun. However, we can't actually join it. There's some requirements you have to meet. And, well, basically, this is the end of the video. So I'm going to stop rambling here. And so I'll see you guys next time.